And now, a word from our sponsors. The American Cancer Society recommends that if you haven't stopped smoking, do. Or if you haven't started smoking, don't. I can say I wish I never picked up this habit. However, being a free American, I have my choice. Now, I did apply for a job with the Cleveland Indians, and they're required to be smoke-free, so if that ever happened, right on. I'd drop this in a heartbeat. Oregon Mint Snuff Company, here I come. Thank you, Hunter, for that excellent public service announcement. Excuse me. Paul? Page 4. There you have it, folks. A budget of $63 million plus. Mr. Mount pointed out something that was perfect and outstanding, had an outstanding recovery instead of asking why we're not spending money at the airport. He wanted to know why we're spending money to begin with. Right on. Mr. Tuchik chimes in a wonderful defensive move. He attempts in a rapid manner to shift the shells around and shift the dates to the right, speaking of next calendar year and beyond. These are dents that will be made in the future, just as we have in the past. However, he's willing to talk in order to do business. Here's a couple queries for you. I know that dog just don't hunt, does it, Mr. Grizzard? I know you said that the Wizard of Gizzard. Right on. Mr. Lewis Grizzard pointed out that dog don't hunt. City's sales tax is up 4% so far this year, and in anticipation of it being continuing that rapid incline, which, if you look through the budget and stuff, can be blamed on franchise fees and taxes, where they shifted the sales tax to the city, to the general fund, from the franchise fees. You can see this, I believe, in one of the graphs from the cable if you look through it. Sales are up, and they're going to add 2% more on it. They're anticipating, so they'll be anticipating, compared to the beginning of last year, 6% growth over a 2-year period. I see the 2% of, hey, you're going to pay for our pay raise, and we're going to say this will be how we're going to do it. Cool, right on. Ambulance fees were off because they underbid the private company, Arizona Ambulance. That's correct. Selling the King's Court without anyone bidding on it. The question was asked what the upkeep was to keep it up, and we got I don't know. We'll get back to you on that. Mr. Mount chimed in. Excellent. He wants to dive deep. Not losing money, but not making money as he thought, though. What he meant by that was, hey, we have these we had at these one times perfectly good tennis courts with a perfectly good tennis pro shop that fell into disrepair that somebody donated to the city, thinking that they could promote tennis within the city. And what the city wants to do is they want to sell it in order to build tennis courts, brand new ones, instead of rehabbing the ones that are there. I mean, if I remember right, heck, they used to have a bar and they had a parking lot and everything. It is what it is. It's not related to the fort, chimes in Mr. Felix. It's hit or miss. And Mr. Felix, you're well done, sir. You sure know how to pitch. I will tell you that. You're a great salesman. Mr. Mount comes back in for a home run, and he drives the discussion in the direction of value, as an increase of value. He digs in too. He dives real deep when he goes and he talks about the West End development. It's a long fly ball to deep left field. Brings up the SVMPO, and he shows how it's on deck and it's shuffling the cards to create the things that we're paying for. He's concerned about a lane diet on fry. That I am too, because the second they condense fry down, then they're going to increase the amount of traffic going down 7th Street and the amount of traffic in my backyard, and that's when the people will rise up in righteous indignation and say, hey, we need a bigger road. And then it's in my backyard. See what I'm saying? There's my concern level. the mayor, who appears to be the wizard of the MPO and the shell games that it provides. Him and Pat Hall are pretty good on this part. That's one thing that I can agree on. He chimes in. We can have it one way, then we can have it another. But we haven't started what we promised to begin with. So we don't really know what we're going to have with these traffic patterns impact my backyard. Mr. Mount replies, Craig, we have this here, and this is when we're going to make it happen. Looky here, what is going on with the little construction project over in front of the new main gate of Fort Huachuca. He even uses the word, we don't want to get railroaded into this. Those words rocket off the bat. Those are outstanding use. The mayor rebuts. But unless we take hold of it, unless we establish that we have a need for it, more or less, we can't make the folks that own those buildings do what we tell them to. So either they do what they tell them we want them to do. They should either do what we want them to do now, or if not, we'll take the road away and we'll force them what we want them to do in the end anyway. More or less the line of thinking. We had some debt slides. I slid on by something a little about bonds and lease purchases. We financed 4 ambulances last year. 2 of them went to the Arizona ambulance contract, but we'll recoup that through the contract. And 2 are established replacement. Mr. Petucek talked about debt, and a success story, and how we're successful since we managed a high debt in the bad economy. What does that really mean? Could it mean perhaps that we didn't need that debt to begin with? Or that things could have been run maybe not as efficiently on a man-hour basis, but more efficiently in the equipment basis in the past? I do not know. Those are only questions that come out of my mouth and out of my brain. Moving on to operations and maintenance. Changes. Decreases were made by the actuals, as in we budgeted for this so much last year and it came in under budget. Good job. Those were deducted. That's why our O&M costs are down. But the problem I foresee is that our O&M costs will be down this year when stuff will break, while we're elevating our human resource burden or pay, and then when all the stuff breaks, then we'll end up paying more money over there in the long run. So we're just going back and forth. It's like a teeter-totter, folks. It really is. In a recent move, Parks and Rec moved to leisure and library from Public Works. Wow, that was pretty good. And in doing so, they got rid of inmate labor. That's even better. Nobody should be out there doing that, and people shouldn't be watching them work either. I understand it's a good job and a good break for those cats, but it's a better break for those cats if there's no work for them to be done anyway, in my opinion. But that's is what it is. Somewhat about a 2-year grant, or grant split over 2 years. I missed that part. And they're actually now the city's now using its own ambulance service. So I guess it could be said that Arizona Ambulance was providing a confidential service for the city, so that the city employees didn't have to go to other city employees to go to the hospital in case of emergency. That doesn't make any flipping sense at all. But okay, let's see here. What Adam 12, the chief of police said that Tucson's going to start charging us $15,000 per recruit. Currently, they pay $5,000 per recruit to go to the police academy, and that other academies charge $20,000 a recruit. They sent 4 last year and 3 the year before that. The cost of a new academy. The police department is demonstrating a need by creating a place for those who can no longer do. So they're giving them opportunity to teach if they fall into limited duty, which is good. I get that. But it is militarization of the police department in thought and deed and action, and this is something that the Army does. There's something about an intergovernmental service agreement which is over budgeted. Mentioned about the utilities going up, water increases. I speculate here, but it smells like the golf course to me. Mentioned about Hawaii 5-0, water and poo in our collective cesspool. The employees here are true island folks. Sky Island, though. But at least they got an actual island this time instead of a continent, not blaming everything on China. Some inquiries are made. Public Works is fouling off pitches and placing them directly where they desired. Overseas, blaming stuff overseas, buying business over there. Napa knows how, but those are where we're getting the parts for our vehicles. And now all of a sudden the vehicles are broken, so now they can buy the best parts at the cheapest price. Mr. Matt wants to know which costs the most, and Public Works stated, I don't know, but I can get that. Ms. Calhoun, are the folks contractually obligated to fulfill a period for the city to recoup the investment? And the chief, in regarding to the police academy, and the chief of police replies, no. Increase in salary costs is $400,000. So is the PSPRS contribution this year above what was anticipated, and the above what was anticipated for their Arizona state retirement system was only $6,700 from what I can see. It may have been $67,000. I think it's $6,700. Cat Stevens there, Mr. Felix. When the mayor wanted to know if he wanted to compare the PSPRS to the ASRS in costs. Mr. Felix started talking about we pay, and the mayor said, no, numbers. Ms. Calhoun said $400,000 over and above this year's, and the city replied, yes, that's ballpark. And I thought to myself, it is in the ballpark. Don't take your eye off the ball. So what we've got so far is that they got a raise. Leisure and Library terminated the DOC inmate workers, and they're moving folks around to increase numbers before your eyes. What they're doing is they're creating different positions that eventually will cost more, but right now they cost exactly the same, if not slightly less. There's no cost impact except for the pension plans. Classification compensation plans, there's no exact method except to qualify it by a number. And here we go, guys. We're talking about firefighters, cops, and secretaries is what their examples were. I wanted to know where the mechanics and truck drivers were. Talking about step increases, crap like that. I thought the latter was clear, but they kept going back. They want to change things from where they just changed it so they can get a better deal to, hey, some people are getting stiff, so we want to change it so they aren't getting stiffed anymore. I mean, folks, I'm sorry. Nobody wants to be the last soldier killed in the war, and nobody wants to be the last person to get screwed over once things change. But some folks got to be that person. Sometimes it ends up being you. And one day you'll look back on it and you'll be like, well, that was a joke. I never should have started that job at that time. And Miss Yarborough, the way that she said it, said some stuff that some people can be on a probation period to say July 1st if things don't go right. It was like she said, hey, fire Chuck. Craig moved to more, wanted more, something equitable, but it should be equitable for the taxpayer, not for the employee. He mentioned something about complexity. I thought he was getting ready to simplify. He didn't simplify it. He went to a merit versus longevity argument, which is well placed and well played. But it wasn't a home run. It was like a triple. It got hung around in the corner, so it cleared the bases, but he got stuck on third base and he couldn't bring it around home. Mr. Petrucci said we used to do it before and we could do it again. I'm thinking take it to full circle now, man. And Craig said he just wanted, it's 80-20 rule. He just, in holistic, he just wants people whole. Or Mr. Petrucci said it happens when people are not whole. What the hell does that mean? I don't know. But I'll tell you what, folks. We got about 3 more minutes left. We're going to be back and we're going to wrap this up and get it on production and send it out to you. We're going to take a few break right here, download this up, and finish it up in a few. It's decarlodanger signing off. Peace.